The show will begin in 5 minutes.
Level 7, turn left. Then turn right. The doors are closed. Do not even try. Do you hear voices in this empty hall? Do you know sounds of this afternoon? The neighbors are eating dinner. The neighbors are watching TV. The neighbors behind the walls.
The show will begin in 4 minutes. The show will begin in 3 minutes. The show will begin in 2 minutes. The show will begin in 1 minute. And now, our feature presentation.
What's up, everybody? It's Henry. Welcome to the live stream. And tonight, I'll be going over and expanding upon my video that I put out today. It's one that I feel a little bit strongly about. For those of you who haven't seen it, that would be... Oh, just give you a preview of next week. Why it's way too easy to get a driver's license. Because I did this because I found an article on Apple News Plus called Safe Travels. Basically, it's about how pedestrian and cyclist deaths apparently reached a 40-year high, according to a magazine called Prevention. So in that video, I basically came to the conclusion that driver's licenses should be much harder to get. Now, for those of you who don't know, driving by law is a privilege, not a right. You do not have a right to a driver's license. There is no law that says you must be provided a driver's license. You can take the test, but they can pretty easily fail you, though not as easily as I think they should. That, or the standards are a little too lax, in my opinion, because I see a lot of people just slowing down at stop signs when they're there for a reason. Yeah, some of what this article got into was pretty brutal. No, I don't want to have that open. I want to search within the article. So, sorry about that. Mr. Apple News app here thinks that it runs the show. So yeah, it brings up the public safety issues, how apparently 6,500 pedestrians and nearly 1,000 cyclists are killed in American roadway crashes every year. So yeah, the advocate that gets highlighted, whose last name is Quinn. Hold on, where's the first name? Rose Quinn. So apparently, Rose Quinn was a public safety advocate, which she got into after her long-term partner was killed on the road. According to the article, he was, quote, struck and pinned beneath a food delivery driver's car while attempting to cross a busy section of a four-lane road. Witnesses said the driver of the sedan appeared confused and didn't stop after hitting Lynch. Instead, he accelerated, Quinn says, crushing both Lynch's body and his titanium bike under the vehicle's wheels. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. That's just brutal and sad. As a pedestrian, not so frequently recently because I haven't had to. Because I've usually been able to get a ride to the instant gratification job, therapy, and picking up an online grocery order over the last 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks ago today was the last time I went somewhere that wasn't just the instant gratification job or what was it? Therapy. It's been a full week since I last got a grocery pickup. I neither need nor want anything from the soup. Actually, I need to get more sugar because I don't have enough left for cookies, and I only have enough left for one more pitcher of lemonade. After that, I'm gonna be all out. I knew I should have gotten the 4 pound bag when I was there 2 weeks ago. I got the 32-ounce cardboard container, and now I don't have enough. I have to choose between lemonade or cookies. I'll always make sure that there's that small amount that I need for bread because I make either pizza dough a or a bun for a sandwich every single day. Well, almost every single day. And now I'm looking into making garlic bread, like one piece of garlic bread using that bun recipe to go with my pasta. Though maybe I should make pasta the one time that I don't have to go through the effort of making that bread and then just and letting it rise while I don't know, play something on my phone, work on something else in the kitchen. You tell me what I would have to do. No, wait, I usually do the thing. But anyway, getting back on track. Basically, the article got me thinking about my abnormal psychology teacher back in college. In addition to raging against heroin to the point where the two classes I had him, both times he got into his exact words to everyone about it was, "Stay the hell away from it." Yeah, I'm starting to wonder if he was if he knew someone who personally had a substance abuse problem, and that's why he feels so strongly about it. But anyway, the whole cars thing, another thing that he said was that plane crashes are far less likely to happen than car accidents. Like, car crashes happen daily, as you just saw in the article. Trying to bring it back up, but 6,500 deaths. I mean, a particularly brutal case of Rose Quinn's partner. Yeah, the food delivery driver literally just kept going after, despite hitting another human being. The article doesn't say whether he actually, or the delivery driver was actually licensed or not, because you never know. I'd like to think that from my experience with driver's ed before, back when I drove, kind of showed me everything I needed to know that I think if a lot more people followed, there probably wouldn't be as many of these problems. So, in the case of it got me thinking about my experience with driver's ed and my experience with the road test, where if the administrator had to intervene in any capacity, automatic failure. Which, I mean, yeah, it makes a lot of sense, but perhaps that is not enough. Or maybe it was an older driver who wasn't held to that standard. I don't know what it's like in the state of New York compared to Massachusetts for the way that drivers are. I know that here in the greater Boston area, where there are not exactly the most well respected drivers in terms of being good at it. Apparently, New England drivers are a little too aggressive compared to other parts of the country. Like my teacher I had in college, she was from Cleveland, and she mentioned having a panic attack of some kind or something like that after driving around Boston for a bit between the way that everyone else was driving and the way the roads are structured, which I can't say I blame her. Because I believe I told that story in that video, but I think I'm going to tell it here. I once got a flat tire on purpose while driving in Boston. No joke, no lie. No way, I talked about that in my useful skills video. So basically, I had to choose between, I had to choose in the trolley problem between hitting the curb or something else and having to deal with insurance. I chose the curb. I got a flat tire. I just had to pull over, and my dad had to show me how to change a flat tire. This was like 7 years ago now. But yeah, I learned my lesson. Be mindful and learn how to change a tire, a flat tire, before you get out, before you get into a situation like that. And then if you do, you don't have to wait as long because I was late for the internship that day, but I made it. Anyway, in the video that I put up today, I also talked about how a lot of the quote unquote electronic junk that, as Aaron Clarey describes it, is actually a very useful tool from what I can tell. Early warning systems can help quite a bit, and if such early warning systems were in the food delivery driver's car that day, and it helped to make it clear that the driver had literally hit a human being. Who knows? Rose Quinn's partner might still be with us today. Yeah, I personally also thought that Walt Disney was right said when he proposed moving car traffic underground. You know what? Let me pull up the original Epcot video. I want to see. Let's see if I can find it. Epcot film. All right, Walt Disney's Epcot from 1966. I only want to find the thing about the traffic, but I remember seeing that he suggested that all car traffic for the experimental prototype community of tomorrow. He basically proposed moving all the car traffic underground so that it could be more walkable. I think closed captions are going to help because I don't want to just play this entire video and then get a copyright issue.
Flag that symbolizes the warm and friendly spirit of Walt Disney's Magic Kingdom. To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Yeah, that was about Disneyland. New York World's Fair. More about Disneyland. Oh, here we are. I want to turn the sound back on.
Welcome to a little bit of Florida here in California. This is where the early planning is taking place for our so-called Disney World project. Now, the purpose of this film is to bring you up to date about some of the plans for Disney World. But before I go into any of the details, I want to say just a word about the site of our Florida project. Almost for tourists and Florida residents to get here. In fact, we selected this site because it's so easy for tourists and Florida residents to get here by automobile. Now, in larger scale on this map, our Florida land is located partly in Orange County and Osceola County recreation activities. In fact, the other...
Come on, where's the part about Epcot?
The heart of
Florida project. Oh.
Spelled E-P-C-O-T. Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow. Here it is in larger scale. Epcot will take its cue from the new ideas and new technologies that are now emerging from the creative centers of American industry. It will be a community of tomorrow that will never be completed, but will always be introducing and testing and demonstrating new materials and new systems. And Epcot will always be a showcase to the world for the ingenuity and imagination of American free enterprise. I don't believe there's a challenge anywhere in the world that's more important to people everywhere than finding solutions to the problems of our cities. But where do we begin? How do we start answering this great challenge? Well, we're convinced we must start with the public need. And the need is not just for curing the old ills.
Okay, I'm actually going to turn the audio off before I get into some kind of copyright trouble. But fair use here, I am just trying to find what Walt was saying about cars. Actually, you know what? I'm starting to realize maybe ChatGPT would have been a much faster way to do this. Okay, let's actually consult ChatGPT. Did Walt Disney ever say anything about moving car traffic in Epcot underground? Oh, he does say it in the very film that we're watching right now, or that we just were watching. Underground roads for automobiles and delivery trucks, central city core entirely free of car traffic, pedestrian areas elevated or separated from vehicle routes, efficient mass transit. Oh, here's the quote. No city of today will serve as the guide for the city of tomorrow. Epcot will be a planned, controlled community. There will be no slums because we won't let them develop. There will be no landowners and therefore no voting control. People will rent houses instead of buying them and at modest rentals. There will be no retirees. Everyone must be employed. It will be a city of the future that never stands still. Automobile traffic will be kept underground, leaving pedestrians safe on the surface. Yeah, Walt Disney was right about car traffic based on this article. Yeah, you can put all the quote unquote electronic junk, that's like the early warning systems and such, or as I prefer to call them, useful tools, because they are useful and they are tools. But they are just that, tools in the toolbox. Not something you should depend on. Sorry. It's kind of like I wouldn't. I'm trying to think of something that is just a tool here that I'd have to learn to work without, or is that like an additional complement? For example, my AirPods for listening to the playback. They are a useful tool for that, but I don't necessarily need them. I do need the microphone to be able to do this. I do need my MacBook. Without the MacBook, there would be nothing. But my phone, which is being used as the webcam right now, is just that, a tool in the toolbox. Could easily be replaced with a USB camera like the Nintendo Switch 2 camera that they're trying to sell with the Switch 2, which I am getting the Switch 2, but I don't think I'm going to get that Nintendo camera. As it is, my Switch 1, I actually have the dock set up behind the TV, and I have the back of the dock facing towards me instead of it. I can actually see the Nintendo logo on it from where I'm sitting right now. But anyway, getting back to the expansion on today's video. Reckless and distracted driving have gone up, partially tied to the advent of cell phones. And then the 2010s is apparently when traffic fatalities really began. The problem is not necessarily the phones, because they are actually useful tools for driving. Like my mom always uses Waze to find her way somewhere, even if it's somewhere that we already know the way to. She still uses that. Does not make sense to me. Yeah, and then she cites the gig economy drivers, like the one who ran over Rose Quinn's partner. Apparently, the incentive to deliver as much as possible in as little time as possible is adding to it. This is why Optimus of the Optimus YouTube channel, he said that working jobs like that shouldn't be a full-time thing. It was always meant to be like a part-time thing you do every now and then. That's why they advertise that you can work whatever hours you want. It's like extra side money. It's not something that's meant to replace your full-time job or anything like that. TLDR, it's not supposed to be a long-term thing, but I'm gonna trust that a lot of people just have bills to pay and such. You know what? I think I might do a video about why about all the whole gig economy and why I think it's both a good thing and a bad thing, because I remember this one speaker at my college said that it was more about access. Like, she stopped owning a car because she had access to public transportation and could rent one when she needed to leave the city. I forget which city she lived in. So yeah, basically the timer on gig economy drivers leads to unsafe maneuvering by drivers. But weirdly, they don't say anything about Amazon, which I've heard the brutal conditions of the warehouse are because they have to, because of the 2 day or same day shipping. Whereas I have heard about them peeing in bottles in Amazon trucks, but I haven't heard anything about reckless drivers, reckless Amazon drivers, that is, trying to make the deadline. Nor have I heard anything about, nor have I actually observed that when the Amazon truck stops in my neighborhood, it's always, the drivers always follows the laws of the road, which I suspect was probably something that Amazon has to do in the name of keeping the lawmakers happy and not giving them reason to scrutinize them a little more. So yeah, the article also cites larger cars, and apparently SUVs and trucks are different from just cars. They're all vehicles. And as I said in the main video, the heavier weight, higher hoods, and bigger blind spots that are more likely to end people when if they get hit. I think that's why the quote unquote electronic junk is being mandated. And probably why older cars are still technically street legal. Because the government could be like, yeah, these new cars have all the safety features. Doesn't matter for older cars. If you don't have these safety features, you can't drive these on our roads. But kind of like in Game of Thrones, how Daenerys had to make freeing the slaves that she tried freeing all at once a slower process. I think it has to be a slow process because you can't just do things like that overnight. Whether it's because of the Aaron Clarys of the world who refuse to get such cars and will always stick with older models, or you have someone who just bought a new one that doesn't have them, and then you have to let them get some value out of it, I guess. So yeah, after Rose Quinn's partner met with his terrible fate, she became an advocate for the victims, saying that they aren't accidents, that they're crashes, and that they're easy to prevent. Which again is why I say Walt Disney was right. Move all the car traffic underground, and this won't happen. You know, what I want to get more into with my content is talking about walkable communities and how it would encourage healthier habits. It would just get us moving a little more so that we don't have to simulate the hard work like Tim Pool described it. Yeah, I'm gonna look up the Big Dig, Boston. According to Google, the Big Dig planning began in 1982, and the construction work began in 1991. It concluded in December 2007. Huh, it concluded in my lifetime. So yeah, according to Wikipedia, it was to reroute the then elevated central artery of I-93 that cut across Boston into the O'Neill Tunnel and built the Ted Williams Tunnel to extend I-90 to Logan International Airport. Oh, that's why the Zakim Bridge. That's how the Zakim Bridge came to be, which is actually how I was able to tell that The Last of Us, the original video game, started in Boston. Because I recognized the bridge from when I went to the Museum of Science as a kid. And I was like, this looks familiar. And I was like, oh, this takes place in Boston. This is what's left of Boston after the cordyceps outbreak. So I'm trying to find the before and after pictures of the site because some of the anti-driving pages I see occasionally bring this up as a win for walkability in America. So yeah, it became the Rose Kennedy Greenway. Formerly the site of the JFK Expressway. Oh, wait. This is the... That's the thing in my intro. The Rings Fountain, apparently, that's what it is. Here, let me bring it up on here.
The show will begin in 5 minutes.
Level 7, turn left. Then turn right.
Never mind, I can't. I can't fast forward through that. But looking at all this, apparently I was actually here. Yeah, this is like right next to the New England Aquarium. Because I remember going through the farmer's market in Dewey Square on my way to Faneuil Hall when I was waiting around. What? My friends dropped me off a lot earlier than I expected. My timed entry was at 2 o'clock. So it's got the Wharf District Parks, Greenway Carousel, Harbor Islands Pavilion, North End Parks. Doesn't say if that's if the Friends of Christopher Columbus Park is part of that, because I remember that's what I walked around in while I was waiting for 2 o'clock to arrive, or as close as possible, and then I just checked with them at the entrance. Hey, if I scan this now, can I just go in? And I was able to go in. But getting back to the article from today's video, basically, the solutions proposed include both personal and systemic ones. First off, personal ones like putting your phones down and controlling your speeds. That's very important. And not just for drivers, for pedestrians and cyclists as well. So yeah, that's why a lot of places lowered their speed limits over the years. Frankly, this is why I always say to leave a little room for error in when you're planning timing. So, I'm trying to decide for. That's why I'm aiming for 75 minutes before the start of the planetarium show next week, before the Martian at the Museum, as I'm calling it. You know what? Let's actually take a closer look at the Epcot film. I don't think I'm going to want to actually play the audio for it, but you can follow along on the captions here. I'll narrate them. Finally, Epcot's dynamic urban center will offer the excitement and variety of activities only in metropolitan cities' cultural business. Okay, I need to slow that down because I remember I had it at double speed. Among its major features will be a cosmopolitan hotel and convention center towering 30 or more stories, shopping areas where stores and streets recreate the character and adventure of places around the world, theaters for dramatic and musical productions, restaurants, and a variety of nightlife attractions, and a wide range of office buildings, some containing services required by Epcot's residents, but most of them designed especially to suit the local and regional needs of major corporations. Most important, this entire streets and buildings will be completely enclosed. In this climate-controlled environment, shoppers and theater goers and people just out for a stroll will enjoy ideal weather conditions protected day and night from rain and heat and cold and humidity. Well, you don't have to really worry too much about the cold with Florida weather. Trust me, I've been there. I was literally able to walk around in shorts and a t-shirt in early December. Maybe I should go there in the summer someday and see how I feel about it. I've only ever been there in the winter. Here the pedestrian will be king, free to walk and browse without fear of motorized vehicles. Only electric-powered vehicles will travel above the... You know what? I'm tired of narrating this. Let's just watch what Walt... Let's just hear what Walt had to say about it.
Free to walk from rain, heat and cold, and humidity. Here the pedestrian will be king, free to walk and browse without fear of motorized vehicles. Only electric-powered vehicles will travel above the streets of Epcot's Central City.
Man, that seems like such a nice layout. Unfortunately, we have what we have. We have to just work with it for now.
This towering hotel is the visual center of Epcot, the shining jewel at the center of the city. It will offer tourists and vacationers not only the most modern guest rooms and convention facilities, but also a 7-acre recreation deck.
I think you get the idea. Walt Disney wanted to move traffic underground. Car traffic, that is. Based on the article here, he was completely right. So yeah, a little PSA I'm going to put out. While the main burden of ending the cycle of traffic violence falls on the system, there are things each of us can do beyond wearing a helmet when biking to stay safe and reduce crashes. Slow down. Give space to cyclists. Put your phone down. Be aware of your visibility. Stay sober whether you are walking, biking, or driving. Because even after only one drink, most people experience slight changes in their reaction time. Honestly, that right there is exactly why I do not believe in drinking alcohol. I know that it's going to be an unpopular opinion if I go around condemning it, so I'm just going to say I do not personally endorse it. I will always advise against it. I am going to take the... If someone asks me directly what they should do if they are offered a drink of alcohol, as my abnormal psychology teacher said, stay the hell away from it. Yeah, if just... Hold on. If just one drink changes reaction time, behavior, and judgment, and impairs reasoning and memory, I see no reason to drink alcohol. This is exactly why it never made sense to me. The only reason that I'm not completely advocating for prohibition to come back is because I know that there's going to be some level of... There's going to be a bunch of smuggling and such. I mean, at the very least, I'm all for that. huge label like what they put on cigarettes. Because at a certain point, you have to do something. You can't just. I'm not going to get into this because if it's not against the law, there's nothing I can do to stop you. I can only give my 2 cents, as I always do. If anyone ever asks me about it, I'm always going to say, stay the hell away from it. The fact that, again, one drink can ruin all of this for you. I don't even care about the liver damage, honestly. You can ignore that, and I'd still have the same stance on alcohol. Now, obviously, I'm not advocating people consume other things that destroy their liver. But again, when it comes to alcohol, because of the immediate effects it has on you, the immediate impairment of your judgment, memory, reaction time, and behavior, and reasoning, just stay the hell away from it. You know, I am so glad that I watched that video that made me faint in wellness class. The one about the drunk driver and how his drunk driving destroyed that girl's life. I got so angry, I fainted right there in wellness class. But I think I've had enough of doing that. Let's get away from this topic before I actually do get angry. So, I finally purged my YouTube watch history like I said I might do. It really does wonders for your home feed. No, I want to use this one. I keep on queuing up the wrong one in the... Here we go. So yeah, I've got Scott Stash with Altis, this new person I discovered named Anna Boca. She did this really great video about the self-improvement lie. I also found this Boston vlog of the ultimate hood food tour. Maybe no, I'm not gonna be able to really do anything else when I go in there on Tuesday. The whole idea of Project Martian at the museum was because the admission itself didn't cost anything, and if I'd gone with my Henriotti members, I would have only had to pay $7 for a train fare to a station where I could walk to the Boston Public Garden from, and then either walked up to the Museum of Science or gotten picked up by another friend. Instead, since my mom was able to get the time off, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a ride with her to the planetarium show, which is also free. We're going to see that, and then The Martian at the museum, or I should really just say The Martian screening after the panel discussion. Which I think is really cool. But it's a result of just being driven there by my mom to go to the museum and then being driven home. I'm going to at least offer to pay for the parking in the parking garage because this was all my idea. I'm going to at least offer. I should at least do that much. Sorry, part of the Yogi Bone Max is starting to dig into my back. Oh, I also solved the framing issue for the most part. I decided that one, little more headroom is a-okay. Because this is not high school video production class. Actually, that's better. See, my high school video production teacher would be way happier with this composition. Although you still can't see the bottom of my shirt. Thing below the NASA. Get it? I need my space. Get it? It's a NASA shirt. I need my space. Anyway, I'm happy to see that all the Switch 2 videos are gone. Well, the ones that are raging against the Switch 2 price and all that. Only thing here is the Mario Kart World Direct, which I actually did watch this morning because I wanted to see what it had to say. Let's just say it didn't really say anything that showed how the game was made worth $80. I mean, I'm sure there would be something. I'm sure there's a level of research and development that went into it that requires them to charge that to get their money back. Or, even if they are being a little greedy, they probably ran the numbers on the acceptable loss of the number of people who would not buy it compared to the Switch 1. Like Agents Johnson & Johnson and Die Hard. Just like how they were okay with losing 25% of hostages in their Blitzkrieg rescue. I'm going to guess that Nintendo's okay with losing a certain percentage of people who are either among the YouTubers who are making the rage bait videos that I am glad I have erased from my YouTube feed. But I digress. You know what? I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm about to hit the 1 hour mark. Before I go, I just want to say walkable communities need to make a comeback in some capacity. I'm all for cars enabling us to get places we couldn't go, but at a certain point, I think, like what Avatar 1 said in The Legend of Korra, or in the beginnings episodes where he made the spirits live in the spirit world and humans stay in the physical world while the portals were closed for the next 10,000 years until harmonic convergence. I'm starting to think that maybe walking, walkable areas and drivable areas should probably be separated to an extent. I don't know. You comment down below what you think about that. if you agree with me, or if you think I'm being a complete moron who doesn't understand anything. Hey, I'll take the hate comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.